So yeah, is there anything else that comes to mind for you when you think of DGG being misogynistic and where that might come from?
Nothing that I would be good at communicating at the moment.
Okay, what about toxicity? You said toxicity. You had multiple different people.
I, like I talked with you about before we started this.
Mm-hmm.
The goal was just to apologize for the thing,
Okay.
which is what needed to happen.
Uh huh.
Um, and people can take it or leave it. Destiny can take it or leave it. If he doesn't like apologies, whatever.
Sure.
That's on him. If he can take it or leave it, um, which is entirely his prerogative to ignore it. People are saying I should apologize to him directly. You're right. I probably should. I'm being a complete coward right now. I get that. The man does actually legitimately frighten me. Sorry, I don't know how to explain to you why he does, but whenever, there's a potential that he and I might be actually talking to one another directly, I get extremely nervous and he scares me. So, I don't know how to tell you why, but that's just the case. He does. So, yeah, I get it. I'm being a coward and a
Well,
weasel and
hold on.
whatever, people want to say,
S-
but
I so
I,
let
yeah.
I wanna touch on that because you said that you yourself don't really know how to describe that. Do you know of anybody that maybe might be in a better position to describe why many people might feel that way that I could talk to as
I
well?
don't know of anybody that I can point you to. No, sorry.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
like that. So that
Obviously not me.
of course, sure. Because yeah, that's my whole thing is I just want to know where this is coming from. I don't need like a logic bro answer. You say that you feel uncomfortable talking to him and what have you, and I'm willing to accept that. I just want the to the best of your ability for you to describe like where that's coming from, and if you don't feel like you have the it in so many words, then so be it. Um, is
Yeah,
there
thank you.
yeah, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
No, I mean, I think this was what I wanted to do and what I wanted to say, and um, I shouldn't be paying attention to your chat right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, uh, if this isn't good enough for people, I'm sorry. I'm sorry it wasn't good enough. And I will say that I am genuinely sorry for the thing that I said about Destiny, for the additional harm that I would have caused. This isn't about, just because I mentioned people were that I trust and admire are disappointed in me doesn't mean that that's the only contributing factor to this. Um, People are welcome to believe whatever they're going to believe. They're not going to believe me. They're going to believe me. They're going to make their own decisions. I am genuinely sorry for the thing that I said. I And if you don't believe that, I don't know what to tell you. I don't care. I really don't. I know that I'm sorry, and Destiny can take it or leave it. You can take it or leave it. It's between me and him. Um, and we'll be going from there. And that's it. I just wanted to say that I realized I fucked up. I made a mistake. I lashed out out of selfishness and frustration and said something really harmful and toxic and bad, and I am sorry. And there is a lot of contributing factors to what put me in that position and why I acted the way I did yesterday. Um, and they would just be excuses to explain them. And here's where we are now. And I think that that's about the end of it. We've covered it as best we can, and this is what you're getting. So I'm just telling everybody, take it or leave it. I'm sorry, and if that's not good enough for you, then I don't know what to say
Okay, so
after
then
that. So
one last thing then, because it sounds like you know, um, you're wrapping it up. Um, do you think that you understand some of the frustrations that some people might have when it comes to like taking criticism from people that say similar things to you about DGG or Destiny when it feels like from their position, there is very little people that are willing to clarify or stipulate what exactly the issues are, and when they
I,
do, it's
I mean, your chat's kind of proving me right now. So
well,
like,
yeah. I
uh,
mean, to be perfectly fair, though, you know, when you're talking about DGG, because I do have significant overlap with DGG, you are calling them all misogynist. I don't necessarily expect that somebody getting called like a misogynist or what have you. And just to be clear, there are many people out of line in my chat, and I think there's many people in my chat who are not native actually to my chat. But also, there are like when people are accused of being like misogynists or condoning a toxic or abusive community without what they believe to be due substantiation, right? Without the bullet points that we were previously talking about, do you think that they might be justified in being upset?
Yeah, but when we give you bullet points, you don't take them anyway. So it's frustration on both sides of the fence, right?
Okay, so
We can't point to Destiny and DGG attacking Demonmama and Doe. We can't point to people who, even before this whole situation happened, would come into my chat and attack me, would send transphobic stuff to me on Twitter that I'd have to block and report, would um, lash out and attack anybody that dared to disagree with Destiny. They don't fucking take anything we say anyway. Like if somebody says Destiny said something that I find hurt, like if I were to literally just say on Twitter today, say Destiny has a take, and I go on Twitter, I find this take very hurtful, right? I promise you there would be DDGers that would be like, fucking, it would just come. You're just like, you're crazy, you're a soy cuck, tell us why, whatever, and start hurling the insults and attacks. Like we can't even be civil with a lot of the people in that community because there is no civility there on both sides of the fence.
do you
And you
think?
don't
Sorry.
take anything that we give you anyway as when we say, hey, you treating this person the way that you did and harassing them and brigading them and sending things to them on Twitter and attacking them, we find this to be transphobic. You go, no, it isn't. And it's
Okay,
like, okay,
so
fine. Then you don't believe it is. We believe it is. We have an impassable divide. And that's the thing, is there is an impassable divide with me and DGG. And it's a chasm that I'm never going to cross. And I don't want to. I don't want to be a part of that community. I don't want to be associated with that community. I don't want to be in it. And I know they sure in the fuck don't want me, which is fine. We can agree to not like one another.
okay.
And that's where things are going to stay. And if they don't like it, I don't care. They're not going to listen anyway, right? They say they want evidence, and I can be like, okay, here's 6 people that fucking said really shitty transphobic things to me on Twitter, and I promise you they would be like, oh well, you're just spineless, or you don't have a thick enough skin, or that wasn't transphobic, or you're just playing the victim or whatever. They don't fucking ever tank the shit that we say hurts us anyway. So like, I I don't know. There is an impossible to cross divide here with
So
me and, like you said, a lot of the people that lash out at Destiny and his community. And that is going to stay. It's going to stay, right? I don't have to like that community. I don't have to like Destiny. I don't have to get into any of this extra shit to say the thing that I said was wrong.
So do you think that so in regards to, you said specifically like comments that other people have gotten and stuff like that, you quoted specifically who was it, Demonmama and Doe?
Yeah.
So those people, right? Do you believe that like the treatment that they received, what about the treatment that they received do you believe fell on fell unheard amongst the DGG community, like Destiny's community, that like you believe was like evidence of things? Like where, because you said that that was like definitive situation, that was your go-to for where you believed
Well, it
that.
was also, like, so for example, Destiny's friend on Twitter um, said if they want to be a deer, we should be allowed to hunt like in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And um, the report to that was, basically like, somebody saying, to report it for calling for someone's death. And of course, if and then Destiny responds, Destiny's friend spawns was, that feeling for when you get hate for respecting someone's identity. Like, how can he possibly look at that situation and DGG look at that situation and think that it's okay, that it was funny, it's just a joke? No, I'm not actually telling people to go and hurt this person. They don't have a right to be upset. They don't have a right to tell people to go report it or whatever. Link, people are hating on me because I said to fucking go hurt somebody. Link, how can people look at that and still find no problem with it whatsoever? Right? That's what I mean. Like, when we look at these things, that specific situation, and Doe does not need me to defend them, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine they would probably be angry with me if they found out that I was, but I don't know. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. But uh, I found that extremely disgusting. I found that Doe was validated in wanting that reported. I found it disgusting that Destiny fucking found it funny, that apparently DGGs as a community found it fucking funny and
What do you?
decided to ramp up the harassment. Like,
Mhm.
how can we
Oh,
possibly cross this divide when that whole thing there, when I look at that and go, this is fucking disgusting, this is horrible, what are you people fucking doing? And DGG goes, lol, it was just a meme, bro, while completely and doing that to me on fucking Twitter and fucking misgendering me in the process and saying it's just a meme, bro, get over it, and sending me the transphobic things for daring to agree that that was a fucking horribly disgusting take. And you expect me to come to the middle with these people? It's not possible, and it's not going to happen. And I've already let you pull me into a situation where this is just going to be continued drama from here on forward. So I kind of just want to stop, because they're not going to agree that this was a bad thing at all. I know they're not. So, like, and they don't care. They don't care. They're not going to agree that this was transphobic, that they don't understand gender identity, they don't understand someone wanting to express themselves, that fucking finding it funny in a meme and lol bro, and then attacking people and intentionally misgendering them and saying transphobic shit to them, it doesn't make them good people. I'm sorry. So, like, all I've done is just kind of let you pull me into more drama with that community, which is not what I want. They've been harassing me since the fucking debate with Destiny. I can't turn on and stream without somebody in DDG coming into my chat and being out, you lol, you're the tranny that got bodied by Destiny on the debate. Lol. Fucking, I'm done with it. You're getting from me what you're going to get, which is the thing that I said was wrong and I'm sorry. And that's it. Outside of that, there is an impossible divide that is never going to be crossed. That chasm is there and it's going to stay there. I've burnt the bridge. You've burnt the bridge. We're never building it. I don't want to be a part of your community. I want you to leave me the fuck alone. I'm never going to say anything like this ever again. You just leave me the fuck alone. I'll leave you the fuck alone, and we'll go from there.
so
And that's it.
do you see why some people might be a little bit um because the way that you're talking about this, it feels very adversarial, right? Like
How are they not being adversarial by
I'm not
literally
I'm
calling for
not saying.
death?
Okay, so do you believe
Like,
that the
why is it that
right?
DGG gets
So
all the
hold on.
fucking, like,
I'm just trying
as a
my best.
community?
I'm trying my best to be able to break bread here. So
Okay,
we'll get to
I,
your
I'm
point
I'm
specific.
trying to calm down. I'm trying to
Okay.
calm down.
So like you're the point that you made about people, you said, going into your chat room and saying transphobic things about you from DGG. I think there's probably going to be a lot of people in Destiny's community that are probably going to ask for some kind of evidence of how you believe that that is coming from DGG. Is it just because they say you got bodied by Destiny? Is that like the evidence? And right, and they're going to try and walk you through that and try and understand like where that claim comes from.
So what you're saying is no true DGGer then. So if somebody comes into my chat or on Twitter and attacks me and either says they're from DGG or doesn't and is just attacking me, we just got done with inference and you walking me through inference. So if
I'm
somebody comes into my chat to make fun of me and attack me about the debate thing between me and Destiny
Yep.
that happened, to be like, you're the fucking training the good, but how am I not to infer that that person is a part of DGG? And then who gets to decide who is and is not a part of DGG?
So
And then
once
when it happens a lot, and it's my ban list is quite big on my channel, full of a lot of people that have done that. So how am I not to infer that those are DGGers, but you all in DGG say they're not DGGers, unless I get what is the badge of
okay.
DGG,
So
right? Who gets to
specifically,
determine who is and isn't part of that community?
right. So for one, it's the moderators that would ban that individual if you gave them their name. And two, it's the I was trying to speak on behalf of like other people that might be upset with you and not be willing to meet you in the middle, right? That was my whole point. Is people might be hesitant to meet you in the middle on a lot of these things and just resort to name calling or belittling or even harassment as a result of them believing that you don't have a justification for many of the claims that you make, right? So when you say that DGG is misogynistic and things like this, right, you believe, based on what I've heard, it is coming from a position of them not understanding what you consider to be basic, either it be rights or human dignities that we should offer women in public spaces or even private spaces. But the way that they might view it is that you are attempting to justify positions that you don't have the justifications for, and so therefore they are not allotting those positions based on your argumentation. And then once you call them misogynistic, then it puts them in a position where they think they have the right arguments, and you're calling them misogynistic for having the right arguments, so they're less likely to take your arguments as in the future, even if they are valid, right? It's kind of like poisoning the well, but like it's kind of a more of a communal poisoning of the well, where it's like people are just not really understanding each other and where each other are coming from. And I want to get to the comment you're talking about when you're talking about Doe, when you said that like people literally calling for this person's death. Do you think that anybody that was saying it was just a meme or anything like that genuinely wanted that person to die?
How the fuck do I know? But it sure in the hell fucking feels like you don't give two shits when you're like, calling for someone's death is just a meme, bro. Lol. Why are you so upset about it?
So you're baking it in. If we could already agree that it was calling for the person's death, I don't think there'd be a single person in here that disagrees with you. If I reframe,
we can't agree with that because obviously you don't think it was, and I think it was.
Okay, I just want to.
So
I'm taking primarily the position of like a average, quote unquote, average DGG, or like trying to illuminate their position to you. Right, is what I'm trying to do. It's not necessarily almost any of these opinions are entirely just mine, right? So the reason why. Do you understand why some DGGers might not think that was like a call to like kill that person?
No, I do not. I do not understand how these people can look at that fucking tweet and not be upset or disgusted by it. That is why there is this impossible chasm between us, because I look at that and I see people who are, it was just a meme, it was just a joke, fucking whatever, and I find it reprehensible and fucking disgusting. And we cannot come to the middle on that. Sorry. You either think it was bad and he shouldn't have done it, or you don't. And if you don't, we are not going to agree. Period. It's not going to happen. Not
So
now, not ever.
so then I
don't
propose to you?
I don't want to keep getting walked into a trap where I'm just going to be giving DGG more ammo to come continue attack me for the next fucking year.
I don't feel like what I'm how okay. What I'm trying to do here isn't walk you into a trap. I'm trying to just.
It sure feels like it.
Why does it feel that way?
It feels like you're trying to get something out of me that, like, you're trying to catch me in some sort of gotcha or whatever. Like, I mean, it's already it's already happened. Like,
Okay, what
you
would
already
be the
caught me in the gotcha with what I fucking said about Destiny. Cool. Now, why do people want to continue? Like, are you like, I don't
reason?
know.
Okay, so I thought.
Do you and DGG, like, does DGG, not you, but does DGG just completely want me to be off all the platforms? Is that what's gonna make them fucking happy?
I
Like,
don't know,
what?
maybe,
I
but
don't I don't know.
that's not
I
my
don't know
goal.
what the goal here is
Okay,
with why
so
you're
I'll say
running
it.
this line of questioning.
I'll say again because I thought I tried to make the best of my ability to say it 2 times prior. And the reason why I'm doing this, I'll just say it one more time, is to try to the best of my ability to understand your point of view. Because I think the very thing that you're talking about when you say that you're disgusted that nobody is seeing the Doe thing the way that you and you know Doe and all the other people that support Doe see it, it like is disgusting that they can't see it that way. I know DGG feels the same way about you when it comes to certain perspectives that you, as well as some people that might empathize with your positions, might feel. And I think there is enough of people that empathize with your position that think that Destiny is somebody to be worried about when it comes to having a conversation with, or as community, that I want to bridge that gap. That when we say it's just, when we throw shit at each other and just say, hey, it's just gross, I can't imagine this way of thinking, I want to try my best to be able to put myself in your shoes, to be able to understand how we could potentially find a more amicable solution, whether it be, you know, rephrase our argumentation. That was the point of the original topic that I brought up, is how could Destiny have framed this that wasn't misogynistic? And you said the way that I did was one way that he could have framed it if we assume good intent from Destiny, right? And so that's what I'm trying to do, trying to figure out where is this critique coming from? What can be done by Destiny or Destiny's community in the future to be able to avoid any kind of mass confrontation or conflict into the future? And I've already submitted to you that, you know, Destiny on Twitter is rhetorically leaves so many people to be able to attack him and realistically either misinterpret or even, I would argue that like the intuitive interpretation of a lot of his tweets are things that are either not what his tweet is, he says and intends his tweets to be, i.e. making them rhetorically ineffective, or the intuitive one is just a really, or the intuitive interpretation is just really bad and not very good. I think one of my litmus tests for people who are what I would consider to be true Destiny shills is whether they defend everything he puts on Twitter, because from a rhetorical standpoint, at the very least, because that there's many things on there that like it just is worded in a way that gets people gassed up, and then once they actually hear what he meant by it, it's like, oh, maybe it wasn't like that, or maybe it is like that and stuff, and it's not rhetorically sound. So I break bread with you on that, right? Like we can meet in the middle of that. So the whole point of me, right? So the whole point of me bringing up the second bit, right, in regards to the conversation about the Doe person is to kind of bring that back, right, and show the conflict, that something that you have fresh in your mind between DGG, because you said that this is like DGG thinking that this person or joking about this person being killed, right? Correct? This is right. And I'm assuming that you would agree with the idea that not recognizing Doe's identity and misrepresenting it online would be transphobic, correct?
Yes, it is transphobic.
Okay, so could I offer you then? I know this is going to sound like it's pretty similar, like levels of exchange here, but could I offer you that maybe in from your perspective that these people are being transphobic and not homicidal, meaning that most people that agree that and think that that is a meme and it's a joke just believe that you can't be a deer. So from your perspective, they would be transphobic. But if they believe that they're not a deer, then the joke is hey, they're not a deer. Obviously, you can't hunt them. It's not hunting season. The joke is, you're not a deer, obviously. Would you accept them being transphobic but not homicidal?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so that's where I think like people are coming from, and then the next excess bit is people think that you can't that deer isn't a valid gender in the same way like non-binary being a man or a woman is. And so from their perspective, they wouldn't be being transphobic. They would just be being really edgy about somebody else's I guess from your perspective, it would be gender identity. Do you understand?
I didn't follow that.
Okay, so from DGG's perspective, they do not believe that deer is a valid gender. They believe like non-binary, men or women are, or what have you, right? These are valid genders, right? When we're talking about from their perspective, right? They're not really believing any gender that is in accordance with an animal or non, I believe very specifically, non-human being is not a valid gender in the same way we view man, woman, or non-binary, right? And so from there,
they don't get to people's the way people choose to identify and the reasoning for that identification is not something you get to have a fucking say in. Sorry.
Sure. So that's okay.
If I want to put on cat ears and say that I'm a fucking cat girl and meow and whatever, and people have an issue with that, I don't fucking care. It's me, it's my body, my life, my identity, how I want to express myself. I like dragons. I don't think I'm a dragon, but I like dragons a whole fucking lot. So like, and I like cat girls a lot.
Sure.
So I'm not going to like invalidate anybody.
Sure.
And I know you could have the, well, if people get to identify as however they want to identify, then they can identify, this really bad or toxic thing that like all of the transphobic and homophobic fucking hate groups talk about, how LGBT plus is just opening the door for like people to identify as pedophiles or whatever, which is just,
Do you think that
it's
DGG does that?
no, I don't, but they possibly could. Who knows?
So do you think it's fair to represent it that way? The only reason why I
I think
ask
it's
is
fair to represent it in the way that it's been done with people. Like this is the thing that I go back to when we started this section of the conversation, right? Is if somebody comes at me on Twitter or elsewhere and attacks me and is mentioning Destiny and the DGG community, how am I to know that they're not a quote unquote part of the community or a valued member? Like it feels like a no true Scotsman kind of thing. Like, you know, we get to decide who is and isn't a part of the community, and then we only decide this person isn't whenever, it suits us, instead of like, how am I to
so
know who is and isn't? Like, I would
I
say
don't
I've probably banned like 30 something people over the last few months. How am I to know that they're not all from DGG? How am I to know that they're not all just Destiny stands, and maybe they're, because people love to talk about how, well, people claiming to be part of a thing can give a group a bad name. So
Yep.
how am I to know that it's just not a bunch of shitheads claiming to be from DGG and then they're not, and then they make the community fucking look bad, and then I retaliate because of that, and then DGG retaliates because of that,
Could
and
be,
then you know could that be it? Sure, maybe. Could I be
but
wrong about that whole community? Could it be full of people who
I'm
are safe, good
so
people
I
that would be willing to have a conversation with me? Probably, sure. But it doesn't matter right now. The feeling is this community is not a
right.
safe and good place for people like me to be in
That's all.
at all.
That's all I care about examining right now, right? So
Hmm.
just to bring it back when you're talking about the the gender identity of a separate individual who might identify outside of man, woman, or non-binary, right?
Hmm.
So from a lot of when you were talking about, you talked about how it's not really for you to decide, it's how for the individual to decide.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm simply trying to do is trying to just tell you, right? Not that they're not transphobic in your mind, or trying to get you over to that, because I don't want to have the conversation here about like the validity of genders outside of man, woman, and non-binary. I think that would be off topic.
Yeah, it would be.
So yeah, I'm not going to have a discussion about that. So if we agree that these people do not accept that, then and we agree that they're, in your mind, they're just being transphobic, right? We could just
Yeah.
let's just say that they're
They don't
transphobic.
get a say. They don't get a say.
Sure.
This is right here.
So
This is another impassable point. Easier to, what's the Bible quote? Easier to get a camel through the eye of the needle than, to come through God or true faith or whatever. I don't fucking remember. This is the impassable thing. If somebody chooses to identify in a way and express themselves with that identification, like people like fucking make fun of furries or whatever, or other kin or whatever, you don't get a fucking say. I'm sorry, you don't. That is the thing that we are never going to agree on. I say they're valid and you don't get a fucking say in their identity and how they choose to identify and express themselves. I guess I'll give you the one middle ground of, as long as they're not hurting other people, you don't get a fucking say, because you don't. Like, that's entirely like, do you want the religious excuse? Because that's part of my fucking spirituality. Being Wiccan is, and it harm none, do as ye will is the whole of the law. Like, fucking altruistically speaking, as long as you're not harming another human being, I don't fucking care what you do, and I don't get a say. You can identify and express yourself however the fuck you want to. The only caveat where I draw the line is if you directly harm another human being, then I might have an issue. And Doe being Doe, or fucking the situation happened months and months ago with Ferociously Steph, with the deer creature, stuff like that, and people hate rating her and abusing her and all that other shit I found disgusting. You don't get a fucking say. If I want to identify as a cat girl and go nya nya meow meow, you can find it cringe or whatever. Fine, sure, you can have whatever, but you don't get a fucking say in whether I am or am not valid, because it's me, it's my life, it's my identity, it's how I choose to express myself. And if you have an issue with that, yes, I think that makes you transphobic, and that is why we're not going to come to the middle on this. Not now, not ever. Because if there are people in DGG that think that they get a say in how somebody identifies and expresses themselves, they're fucking wrong. And I find it disgusting and reprehensible and transphobic.
okay.
And that's it. We are not ever going to agree on this. Never. Because
So
you either validate people or you don't. And if you don't, I find you somebody I don't want to know. That's
so
just it.